What is up, you guys? We are back with Onchain Heroes podcast. We have interviewed a couple of legends in this Web3 space, mainly founders, a lot of builders, a lot of different industries to begin with. We have interviewed agencies, NFT projects, tools, and we actually have the whole SocialFi aspect of today. So it's a little bit different topic, but same thing, same narrative as we kind of continue to grow Onchain Heroes podcast. And if you guys don't know that word specifically, it is just from a podcast that we were doing for Onchain Foundation. And if you are listening to this and you're interested, feel free to hit us up in the DM, and we're more than happy to kind of join in and chime into hit a recording here. But I actually had the advantage to actually hear Serpent on one of our spaces, and I love what they're building at Ethos. It's a social flat, but we'll get into, I don't want to take the shine here because there's a lot of cool stuff that they're building here. But yeah, we actually have Serpent here, CEO of Ethos. How are we feeling today? And also, if you, this is more of a podcast, but it'll be on YouTube too. I love the hat. It is kind of
Thanks.
gloomy. It's gloomy today, so it's actually quite nice looking at that hat because I'm like, gives me positive vibes.
It's got a lot of character, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
90s vintage vibes is always a fun thing. Honestly, it inspired a lot of our brand, to be honest, too. So, like, yeah, it's like more colorful in your face. It's not like, bleak, bland, random colors, the boring colors like grays and stuff. Like, yeah.
Are you actually, like, in the States? I feel like this is giving California vibes.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Well, I am in the States. Yeah, but
Yeah,
I live in Texas. I grew up in Houston. So, yeah, obviously I'm a Rockets
yeah.
fan. Yeah.
Alright, the sun's shining there too, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm in Canada, and it's like, we got literally, I'm, like, in a T-shirt today walking my dog. I think it's, like, 15, 16 degrees. Yesterday, we had a snowstorm. It's
What?
yeah, I was like, I'm just not I'm not having it.
No, yeah, that sounds terrible. In Texas, it's hot already. It's very warm out here, so
I think this is my sign to move to Texas, so we'll
yeah.
see.
I don't know how I would be handling a second winter right now. So
Oh,
I like
man.
going outside and feeling the heat for sure.
It's awful, it's awful. I don't wish it upon anyone, but my whole family lives here, so I'm just like, "Man, we gotta chime in here." So, yeah, I can't maybe I can take them with me in my Web3 journey, and so they
There
can,
you go. I
you know,
like it.
one can be reply guy, it'll get the whole family in there. But I'm excited to chat today. Like I said before, guys, if you listen to this, we had different categories of just builders, founders, different categories of just Web3.
Mm.
And SocialFi is actually interesting. I think been a whole change up actually in the last couple of years. So we'll get into that. But before we even get into Ethos, I actually would love to hear more of who you are, Serpent.
Yeah.
Maybe do like a general introduction, and how the heck did you get into Web3? Because I know everybody
Mm.
has some crazy story.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, my background is mostly I'm a builder from Web 2. So I spent most of my career, probably 12 or 13 years now, building products in Web 2. I worked for a big company called Atlassian, people that make Jira and Trello and Bitbucket and all those products for a long time. And so I've always been a builder at heart. I really enjoyed building things. I was never the guy that was writing the code. I was always the one that was kind of like, oh, like we should build that. That looks interesting. And then it helps build a vision and craft a narrative around why we should go build that. And my journey into Web3 is like I've been dying to build something in Web3 for a long time. I was very early to Bitcoin, but not as a buyer, as just kind of like an enjoyer of the technology. I never thought it was going to be anything meaningful. And I was back in 2011, and never did anything with that other than like be on the sidelines and enjoy it and follow it because I had a full time job. I wasn't interested in like investing. I didn't have any money to invest in stuff. I mean, I was like literally in college that year in summer of 2011. But like what really got me into it, honestly, was a lot of the Web 2 problems that we have right now, which is like it's really difficult for products to talk to each other. It's very difficult for companies to integrate things because they all speak different languages, is what compelled me about Ethereum early on. And I always felt like Ethereum was super interesting concept, never invested in it, never really got deep into it. It wasn't really until everyone was sitting at home and I was like, wait, I can do two jobs at once. Like I sit at home and do my regular job.
Everybody's motto, "I can do 5,
Yeah,
actually."
exactly. And you're like, yeah, now that I don't drive into an office every day and I don't have to like talk to other people every day, like I can sit at home and do other stuff. And So I got into trading. I was big into trading NFTs. I did really well for myself there and launched my own hedge fund from that. But I still wasn't building anything. I was still just doing that on the side. And it wasn't really until Friend Tech happened that I was like, wait a second, I think there's something really interesting here. We should go build something in this space, and called up some friends that I had worked with before and said, hey, I actually have a real problem to go solve. So that wasn't until end of 2023. So I haven't been a builder in this space for long, but I'm really excited to bring all the experience I do have building things to Web3.
I think everyone's experience is really interesting because you got like everyone has characteristics from their Web 2 lifestyle or job. And, for me too, like I literally was scrolling on TikTok and I was like, oh my gosh, someone bought a monkey JPEG and bought a house after that. Like that is
Yeah.
the life. I'm retiring my bloodline. So yeah, I mean, it's quite fascinating. And I think it kind of, I mean, I'm learning more about yourself and I be kind of diving into researching ethos as well. And it's actually kind of cool because I'm already just chatting with you. It's only been a couple minutes. I'm already getting a feel of like how you kind of built out ethos.
Mhm.
And I love the thing that you actually said earlier is that a lot of people are coming into Web3, but they don't really know who to talk to, where the
Ooh.
tools are. And that is actually a problem we've been dealing with for a very, very long time. So getting into Web3 and then like kind of seeing where ethos takes. Now, did you always know that you were going to be like an entrepreneur before Web3?
Hmm.
And then kind of that kind of I mean, I think the entrepreneurial status even kind of changes in Web3 because I think, like, it's, like, on steroids at that point.
Totally.
It's like, if you're, like if you've got the Web2 experience, like,
Mhm.
Web3 is just, like, a whole 'nother, roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of being an entrepreneur, I've always done stuff on the side. I was never ready to like take the plunge and be like, oh, I'm gonna go like raise money and do something myself. Like, it's kind of scary. I have a wife, I have kids. Like, you can't just like do that one day. Yeah, and so I would say like, I remember it's like 2010, I wrote my own blog. I like wrote all the code to write my own blog and was, writing blogs about how to like replace iPods and their disk drives with SSD cards, and it created Amazon affiliate links for me, and I made a bunch of money on that. It wasn't crazy money, but it was like just little stuff like that. And I've always kind of done these little things on the side, but never anything that was like, oh my god, I could turn this into a business. Um, Honestly, same thing though. It's cool that we're talking about this now because I don't get to talk about it a lot. But in 2020, again, everyone is at home, everyone is trying to do stuff. I was trying to buy a graphics card for my computer, and this is when people were really into like retail flipping stuff. And so I joined a Discord, and these guys I paid $35 a month, and these guys were like sending alerts whenever the graphics card restocked or whatever. And I'm like, this is an interesting concept. And then I saw Pokemon and I'm like, whoa, people are talking about Pokemon. This is 2020. People are talking about Pokemon again. This is super cool. Like, oh, I have some money I can invest in Pokemon. I should go like try it. Next thing you know, I'm like, I started my own Discord for Pokemon and people flipping Pokemon cards and charged $35 a month to be in this Pokemon group and led that community to help them make a bunch of money flipping Pokemon. And a lot of those people are pretty happy now that they made those investments 5 years ago. Um, and then I did that with NFTs. I helped people trade and flip NFTs, and so I've always kind of been in this, like, do it on the side, like, especially, like, being at home honestly helped me, like, enable me to do those things. But I've never been the full on like, "Oh, I'm gonna go build my own thing and either fund it myself or raise a bunch of money to fund it." And so I think that was a big, like, shift in terms of entrepreneurial spirit.
And I think that's the really cool thing about being an entrepreneur. And like a lot of these podcasts that we've had, most of them are founders, and a lot of them have failed in the past or just like tried so many things, but
Mhm.
it actually led them to the place where they wanted to be at the end.
Mhm.
And that journey, we don't really see that journey because we'll come to this point like kind of where we're now, where we're like, holy, this guy's flourishing.
Mhm.
It's interesting. It's insane. Yeah, and like definitely being at home at 20, I think 2020 was like not real.
Yeah,
My
it
opinion, like
is weird to look back on.
right? Like, I actually I was before I got into Web3, I was actually in nursing school in my 3rd year of 2020,
Mhm.
and I was like, "No, like, people are making magic internet money, I need to tap into this." So I just went like, I'm just gonna go into Web3."
I like it.
Here we are today, so
It's
yeah, I
amazing.
love that concept, so gotta believe in yourself, right? I mean, coming to this whole conclusion of like your journey and then kind of starting Ethos.
Mhm,
So, how was that vision looking like at the beginning
mhm.
versus how it is now? Because I think everyone can understand that when you're creating something, you had that idea and then 7 things other pop up in your brain. You're like, never mind, let's change this up.
Yeah, you know what's crazy is, like, I've had that many times in my career, especially working in B2B SaaS and different types of products of like, "Oh, we thought we were doing this, so the next year we're doing this." But with this product, we have been so laser focused on the same mission, the same vision, how we get there, what we're doing to get there for since we started, basically. And it hasn't changed at all, honestly. It started as the original kind of vision is like, hey, we don't have any accountability in this space. We don't know who's who. We don't know who's screwing each other over. We don't know anything about anyone, actually. And every conversation we have, whether we know it or not, is a financial conversation. I could sit here and talk about Azuki, and you might walk away from it and be like, I'm going to go buy an Azuki. And you're like, yeah, it's a financial conversation. Like, if I was a bad actor, I would like explicitly convince you to do that. And I would be going and listing at the same time, right? Like, and so I had this belief that like we need this way to hold people accountable. And I felt like with Friend Tech, we saw this idea of like people connecting their main identity on Twitter to a wallet. And now suddenly what you said is tied to what you do. And I'm like, wait a second. There might be a way that we could actually tie these things together and do it on chain in a way that allows us to understand who's credible and who isn't. And that was really I thought Friendtech was gonna do this, to be honest. I thought Friendtech was like, "Go solve the credibility problem." Yeah, and I was tweeting about it like crazy. I was like one of the top 10 keys on Friendtech because I believed in it so much, and I thought it was really gonna change how we interact with each other. It didn't. But like, that was the inspiration. That's how we got here now. And so like a lot of the things that, there might be minute things or little things within the product that we've changed and adapted over time, but I think we've stayed pretty true to our original vision and mission. And it's been helpful because sometimes as a builder, you can spend a bunch of time on that and then you get it out there and you're like, oh shit, this is totally wrong. Like we didn't get it right at all. But like since launching, like we've hit on the places we want to hit on. People coming back every day, people writing reviews and contributing, seeing the scores in Twitter and getting value from that, seeing that value, getting value from their scores, like all of those things are starting to manifest. So we're feeling pretty good about kind of sticking to that original vision still.
Yeah, I think this is something we even said earlier in this conversation where it's like people don't know where to get started. And I thought like we struggle so hard in Web3 where it's like the onboarding, right? Like how do we onboard
Hmm.
consumer crypto? How do we onboard new founders into the space? Like I really couldn't imagine me being a new founder in Web2 to be like, okay, well, my consumers are there. They
Right.
would like to be in Web3. How do I hire the next like community manager? How do I
Hmm.
hire the
Yep.
next marketing team? Because
Hmm.
everything is very behind the scenes here. Everything's on Twitter.
Hmm.
So I actually think it's quite interesting what you guys have done. And, social proof is really important because in Web3 is very who you know versus like fill an application and get the job. You won't get the job.
Right.
The
Yeah.
application does not
100%.
exist.
Yeah, and, like, what's interesting is, like, it mimics real life in a lot of ways, like,
Yeah.
whether we admit it or know it or not, like, real life is 100% driven by reputation and credibility, like, it's how you get a job, it's how you decide where to go eat, it's how you decide, which doctor to go to when you really need to trust someone, like, and the ability to measure any of that trust is basically non-existent in Web3 right now, and because it's so easy to like spoof yourself or create another account or create 500 wallets for yourself, you really kind of miss the um, you really just don't have that insight and it makes it harder to make decisions. It makes it harder to know who to trust. It makes it harder to be successful in this space.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that. I love the idea. I've been reading a lot of people's like feedbacks and then it's people I already know. And I'm like, yeah, I would say that's really valid. So I love it.
Mhm.
I love
Yeah.
it's definitely people need to have their credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, the whole market too has really shifted. Like, and I think let's just use 2020 because that was just not real again.
Hmm.
2020 was crazy because we had a lot of people either be like quote unquote founders,
Hmm.
but not everyone was gonna make it. Not everyone was legit. You
Hmm.
had marketers that were like, retweet, and get a whitelist, right? And
Right, yeah.
which were really that was, like, botted to the maximony.
Mhm,
I mean, I think challenges too in Web3 is that things move way too quick and you have to adapt as a founder. So
mhm.
for you guys at those, like, how do you guys kind of battle between uncertainty, volatility, even just what is working in Web3, right? I guess you can say like trends.
Yeah, I mean, like, from a people perspective, it's been interesting to see how, like, people review each other and how that impacts it, because a lot of the flywheel of Ethos is driven by other people reviewing each other and, like, things that are happening in the space initiating that review. And so, like something big happens, like the Jesse thing with base, right? Something big happens, people go back to the product and they go write a review or leave a review on it. And right now, the market vibes are very much like bear market vibes, and so people are a little more knives out than they are like, generous and nice and joyful. It's a good thing for Ethos because that means that people like go back and record things there, but it's interesting because you can kind of I feel like you can almost measure the sentiment of how people are feeling overall based on like the types of reviews they're giving out right now. I would say then on the builder side, it's been interesting too to be like, okay, what's working in this space right now and what's not? And like honestly, what's not working right now is anything speculative. Like anything speculative, like coins can't pump past $25 million right now. Like no one is building anything that's interesting, like in terms of like coins or new things that are launching right now. People are just quiet. And like as a builder, that could be kind of hard too, because you're like, well, we have the ability to kind of adapt to the metas as they're coming out. Like, oh, we'll go tweak Ethos and make it more friendly to this type of meta or ensure that we're capturing these types of data points. Um, but yeah, like as builders, we don't have as much ability to do that right now. We're kind of just like in our own lane, focused on what we're working on and want to kind of make a name for ourselves. It will be interesting to see when the metas start picking back up again to see how well we can adapt to like, are we capturing, like, okay, good example. AI agents were a meta in like October, November, or whatever, right?
Mhm.
And part of that meta was like, I should go look at this guy's GitHub repository and see how good of a dev he is, right? And no one knows how to evaluate devs. Even professionals know how to evaluate devs on their GitHub
Yeah, that's
repository.
you they just say, "Yeah, that's a good dev. He
Yeah, it
does."
looks
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. And you're like, well, what are you doing? You're actually looking to understand their credibility. And I think Ethos could have helped in a lot of ways in that example of like, well, you go look up and say that, yeah, this person is backed by these people, or this dev is actually, is as legitimate as people are pretending they are on Twitter. Um, I think to go back to your very first point though, around like how the meta of like marketing has changed. I think we are kind of head on going after that. Like,
Mhm.
when it comes to things like, oh, well, yeah, like all of the giveaways were botted, or all of the Twitter accounts they would launch, they'd have 25,000 followers on the first day. And you're like, yeah, yeah, come on.
Red flag, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and if you know, then it's an obvious red flag. If you don't know and you're new to this space, then you fall for it, and, like, that's how retail loses money to bad actors, right? You want that money to stay in the space and trading among people, not going out to projects that are just taking that money and leaving. So, anyways, hopefully that was a helpful kind of comprehensive overview of how I think about that.
No, I think that was a really solid take because that is I mean, the name in itself too, it's like ethos. It's like exactly what someone stands for.
Mhm,
And yeah, that's like the hard thing about market volatility. Like I would say we were all very blessed in 2020. Like most of us were locked in our houses.
mhm,
We had money to play around with from the government
yeah,
probably. And so it was just a different time. I think it's harder now because we don't really know what the market is. I don't even know what cycle this is actually, but
me
I just know
neither.
that we're just like in this like weird building discovery phase, I guess
Mhm,
you want to say. Um, but yeah, that's kind of I think that was like really well explained. And I mean, the second question I really had here was we kind of already talked about it, really validating people. I guess the if I wanted to kind of rephrase it so I don't like keep this repetitive is how do you guys kinda make that, I guess, like, more fun on the TL? Because, token talk is obviously something that everyone has, and,
Mhm.
there's it can be negative, it can be positive too. I think it just really depends on how it's worked. So does it just go from ethos for people just rating each other? And, like, what else is coming from that, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything is driven by people reviewing each other, which is like something that's new, right? Like, a good comparison or like complementary product would be Kaido, where Kaido is looking at like, well, how much influence do these people have, and how much attention are they driving from that? And what we're measuring is something that new that doesn't exist yet, and I'd like to think I have this idea in my head, which is like, well, when you go follow someone it doesn't really mean anything. Like, if I follow you, it might mean that, like, I know you or I f I f I want to follow your tweets, but it is not a signal of trust, right? And so what we think we're doing is allowing people to add this it's, like, kind of like if follow is here in, like, a shallow way of understanding of who's trustworthy and who's not, then, like, a review is higher and a vouch, which is, like, putting your money against someone's name is even higher. And I think what I believe is this concept that, like, of the vouch is the new follow, where, like, if you vouch, even if it's $15 versus against someone's name, you are going out of your way to say that that person is trustworthy. That is a way higher signal than just a follow. And I think we're taking these signals, and right now we're using them to just create a credibility score. But there's so many things that we can do with that credibility score qualifying you to leads, qualifying you to project airdrops, making it easier for you to make connections, making it easier for you to get hired as a community manager or collab manager or whatever. Like there are numerous things that we can do with that data once it exists. But until now, all of this has been very hackable and easy to spoof, right? It costs 4 cents to get 1,000 likes on your tweet, and, like, Kaido's really good at ignoring the noise there. We're trying to, like, instrument another way to measure that noise and promote the signal.
Mhm. And I think I love that we're in this, like, different phase from a few years ago, because now we actually have more solid people that have been burned, unfortunately. Like, we've all been burned in
Mhm.
some way,
Yeah.
like, rugged by an NFT, rugged by a founder, rugged by a project. And the people that have stayed true have actually built their platform. And I love how you guys highlight the way of how, I mean, you could even say this to I mean, you could probably answer this better, but you could even say, like, if someone was to join Web3 for the first time as a
Mhm.
founder, like, Ethos would probably be the place to do it.
So 100%. Yeah. Like, whether it's like I mean, if you just think about the timeline right now and how much, like, shilly stuff is out there, right? You just don't even know who to trust. It's hard to understand. Like, I if you look at something like Instagram and you look at your favorite influencers, like, they have to legally disclaim that they were paid to promote that content. And that doesn't happen at all in Web3, right? Like, there are no laws in Web3 for regarding that, and you can't blame anyone because it's a global economy and, like, it's just a different world. But I think even when it comes to, like, getting noise and signal off the timeline, it's impossible. As a founder, you're like, "Okay, wait, so is this I wanna talk to this KOL, maybe he's interested in my product or whatever." Like, do people trust him, or is he someone that you want to represent your product publicly? Is he an Andrew Tate, or is he, like, you know, some holy saint kind of person, right? And so or if you're looking at developers one day, which we don't really capture that well today, but like, having everyone sits behind a mask of anonymity. This has been true about the internet forever.
Yeah.
Um, and we are trying to add a dimension to that allows people to trust each other more.
I think, and it's interesting because Web3 has became this, well, I actually think it's funny because a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, Web3, it's not like air crypto, very scary," right? And, like,
Mhm.
people who are not in Web3 think that. But
Yeah.
then you have the outside world launching these tokens from, like, countries, and you're like, "Come back to us. We are the legit people." So,
Mhm.
I think Ethos actually has something really cool here, because I'm a huge fan of, like, people coming from Web 2 and using something called the founder funnel, which Leon Aboud
Mhm.
talks to from Unfungible, and,
Mhm.
like, Ethos is the place. If you wanna get some validation, connect with people, like, I hope
Yeah.
everyone's if you are listening to this right now, this podcast, you are a founder, definitely tap into Ethos and what their team is building.
Mhm.
And yeah, this has been, like, super insightful. There's a couple more questions here that I'm, like, dying to hear about,
Yeah,
and
let's do
so
it.
something here we actually have something here called the roast.
I
The
like it.
roast is kind of, like, almost like a hot take. You ever go to
Mhm.
Twitter Spaces and
Oh,
everyone's like,
yeah.
I
I
have
ask people to roast me weekly on Thursdays. So, like, and, I have a Twitter space that says, like, "Come roast me." So I like the roasts for sure.
Oh, man, I have okay, you're gonna have to invite me to that because 'cause I'll be like, "I don't like your hat on the podcast," or something. I'll just try to I'm jealous, I want the hat actually. But the roast for this one is actually almost like a hot take, and my question actually
Mhm.
to you is, does Web3 actually need SocialFi in 2025, and what is the difference from now compared to the last bull market?
Yeah, I mean, like, SocialFi as a category is really interesting because I don't know that anyone really knows what it means and what it doesn't mean. It's like some sort of combination of social and finance. When we look at friend tech, you are like, well, that was interesting, but like, was it actually something meaningful? I thought there were signs of it. I think it's a little bit more difficult when the idea is like you buy access to get a chat with someone. I mean, there are like hundreds of places that this exists in Web 2, like Patreon, and getting exclusive access to content creators or whatever. It's a role that exists that can be filled, and I think that's a little bit more what SocialFi is. I think the way that we're thinking about it is more like it's about reputation, and I think you would call Ethos SocialFi, but I tend to think of it more as like we're solving a direct problem versus I think the past SocialFi stuff hasn't been as focused on like there is a problem and we are solving it. I think we've made it as like binary as that can get. Like there is fraud, and we want to highlight and hold people accountable and separate signal from noise. Like the fraud is bad for everyone, and we have to do better, basically. And so I would say, like, I think we need this now more than ever. If you go look at the actual numbers, like $9 billion every year goes out of traders' hands and goes into fraudsters' hands. And you can't grow the space. You cannot grow the space if when you tell someone else about crypto, if okay, if you tell your friend that you work in crypto and you're embarrassed, we have a problem,
My
right?
listen, my Thanksgivings are very awkward.
Yeah. And it like we have to get over that. Like we have to and how do we have to do that? Well, you have to get over the narrative that it's a scam everywhere, that it's all about fraud, that it's all about, just like people being degenerates. And
Mhm.
I felt like 2023, 2024 went further down that route than ever.
Yeah,
And
it
it's
did.
rough. Yeah. So
We
like
were
I
so
think we need it
close.
now.
We were so close, like, I remember when Bitcoin hit, like well, we're back down. I think we'll be there back soon, I don't know when, but, when Bitcoin first hit 100K, I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're back, like, let's get
Mhm.
this going," and it's funny because I think that the fake out that we had,
Mhm.
recently I think it was a great indication of a reality check for Web3,
Mhm.
like, for
Yeah.
every industry, gaming, SocialFi, NFTs,
Mhm.
PFPs, tools, syndicates, whatever you wanna say, like, I think it was a really big reality check because we all could do better,
Mhm.
and yeah, I'm like, I don't wanna, like, shove crypto down people's throats, but I know that we all came here for a reason because we believe in the tech, we believe in financial
Mhm.
freedom, and that's actually what it offers, actually, for the
Right.
most part.
Totally. Yeah, and I think we'll see the pendulum swing back towards those fundamentals. We definitely um got a little close to the sun, I think, in the last cycle.
Mhm.
And so yeah, to fully answer your question, I think we need it now more than ever. Like
Oh,
we got to
yeah.
hold each other accountable. We have to have some way to know who is reputable and who is just there to extract money.
Yeah, because before people would ask me, be like, just I'd be working in the space and founders would be like, "Hey, we need a, marketing person." And
Mhm.
I'll be like, "Oh, I'm recommending this person," but then they'll be like, "Oh, well, this other guy has like 50,000 followers." That doesn't mean anything, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe check out their ethos, but
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, that will be the future, right? It's like,
yeah,
it's not about how many like, that
that
is
was
how we evaluated people. In 2020, you're like, "Oh, the project has 100,000 followers, like, it must be legit." And you're like, "No, it costs, like, $14 to do that," right? It's not like, every project did that. and they still do it, and it still blows my mind. I see these people with projects that you've never heard of, and there's 370,000 followers, and you're like,
Two
"What a
likes.
red flag." Yeah, what a red flag.
2 likes and, like, 50 retweets or something absurd,
Mhm.
or when the numbers are the same where it's, like, 200 likes, 200 retweets, 200 comments, I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
"Mm-mm."
No way. Yeah.
Nah, it's really funny. I think so far this podcast has been really good because, this is just from experience, if you guys are tuning in, and, my vision for the future and at those as well is just more legitimacy, right, coming from the
Mhm.
space, and, yeah, we are the voices, so this is actually really, really good and very healthy for the future of Web3. Kinda looking at, like, consumers too, like, we talked a little bit about consumer crypto, what do they want? Are they
Mhm.
scared of Web3? What do you think is kind of 2 factors that are or maybe just 1, 2, sorry, just 1 factor you would say from Ethos that people really want that's
Mhm.
just besides, like besides the SocialFi factor of, like, validating someone? Like, do
Mm.
people want fun technology or, like, what do they get out of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things. The one that we're kind of thinking about right now is like, how do you make interactions with people more trustful overall? And so like, if you do like, not only can you like validating someone else is the first step, right? Oh, I know this person's trustworthy, but like, what do you get out of that? Is like, well, you can get signal that the project that they're working on is actually going to be legitimate and people are going to stick around for it. Two, maybe you have more confidence doing an over the counter deal with someone. Like you understand who they are. You don't mind sending them money. Three, maybe it gives you the opportunity to have more, like better, less under collateralized loans, like better TVL on loans and like more financial opportunity because like, hey, you have social capital backing you. And if you do this, like you will automatically lose all of your social capital. Um, and so like there are some kind of like nuggets like that we're working on that lead us down a path of just like making the score valuable. What I always tell people and go back to is like, just think about how it works in real life, right? Like, your reputation is literally everything. It is everything from how you interact with people, how do you get opportunities. I'm telling you right now, the only reason like you cannot get deal flow and invest in OpenAI at $100 million because you're not reputable enough and you don't know the right people. If you would have known, you could have invested in that and made a ton of money. Like or if you know, Jeff Bezos, he would let you in his rocket ship, right? Like, reputation is the most important and, like, it fundamentally drives everything, and, like, it's hard to think about sometimes, but it opens the door for everything for everyone, and the people that understand that, they continue to work on it, they build it up over time, they build this reputation that's stunning, and they get better jobs, they get better deal flow, they get better financial investments, and so, like, that is something that has to happen over time as we continue to build things that enable that.
And I actually feel like we're still very I know this is such a awful term, but, like, we're so early. I do think we're very early. I think that if I was able to quit my stable nursing job to believe in something I believe in, which is Web3, and continue working here, and this is just the peak of the, like, tip of the iceberg, I definitely think when people start kinda chiming into Web3 from Web2, they're gonna be like, "Oh, well, you know, if this person's valid on Ethos and this person's a marketer,
Mhm.
I'm a marketer.
Right.
How could I actually work from home? Because working from
Mhm.
home is like such a it's honestly such a blessing.
Mhm.
Thank God for Web3. And I think more people are looking kind of to be like a digital nomad. I
Mhm.
think like the future is
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
digital, very online, very
Yeah,
internet.
and behind all of that is, like, you don't
Yeah,
meet people in real life, and you don't know what they are like, and sometimes they live behind pseudonyms, and you're like, "We want to enable that,"
mhm.
basically. Like, we want to enable people to build up their reputation as someone who is terminally online and does nothing else, right? Like, and so, like, yeah, like, I don't think we would build, like, a job marketplace anytime soon, but you could imagine how
Mhm.
easy it would be to enable that of, like, "No, this person's a great writer. This person, they've done tons of copyright work for me. Like, I really trust them." What I always say is, like, reputation is local, not global, and so, like, when you look globally, you're like, "Oh, who are these people? I don't know." Like, sometimes you know who they are, but the best signal you can get through our product right now would be like, "Wow, like, this person gave her a great review. I know that person,
Mhm.
and I know these other people that gave that person a great review for copywriting or something.
Yeah.
And that data is like 100% missing right now. But it's there. Like people know, it's just like it's not written down and it's definitely not stored on chain. So
Yeah, it's exciting. I think right now because we're in this, like, weird cycle, I wouldn't say bull market, but I would say discovery slash reality
yeah,
check
yeah.
Web3,
Hmm.
and I think you guys are, like, perfectly set into where Web3 needs to be for the future, so, I mean, this has been a pretty fire session of just getting to know you, your
Yeah.
vision, what you guys are about, Ethos, and then, like, literally last question is, what are you guys building for the next couple of months? I can't
Mm,
believe it's already, like, April, which is
yeah.
insane to me. I feel like I just took a breath in Web3 and now it's gone.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there are a lot of things that we're focused on right now. I would say we kind of are segmented across a few different strategies. One of them is continuing to build out the core product. Like how does it work to comment on something or slash someone or vouch for someone? Those things still need refinement. The score itself needs refinement over time. The other part of that is really the like, how do we make sure ethos scores are everywhere? We have a Twitter integration. When you're scrolling Twitter, you can see everyone's score. How do we bring that to other places that people want to use ethos and get those scores and get more data and understand more about the people or things they're interacting with in Web3? um, One of the opportunities is more around the like trustful interactions. What could we be doing that are helping people have more trustful interactions? And one of the things we have been experimenting with is an idea of like, what if we could have our own over the counter trading marketplace where it's like, if you trade, you can, hey, I'm like out there saying I want to sell this thing pre-market for $2 each or something. But I'm backed by like a 2200 score and people should trust me for it. And you can measure that transaction and put that transaction on chain and see, and both people review each other and it becomes like going from Craigslist to eBay, basically.
Mm.
Um,
That's cool. It could even be like I was just thinking out loud, like, you could even, like, have, like, a little, kinda like a Reddit section where it's, like, community
mhm.
management building or something, and then all the
Yeah,
community managers, like, give their feed and take backs and hot takes and whatever, and then
yeah.
people can just be like, "Oh, it's like a Reddit section of people who are similar to their knowledge."
Yep.
That's pretty dope too.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're in like the data collection phase, right? Like, we're collecting data on things. Now we can go build things on top of that. And so
Yeah.
that's where it gets really exciting. The last part that we're thinking about right now is kind of like, how do we help people get better signal around new projects or things that are upcoming? Um, so like you've got these projects like even right now, there's like, 40 projects out there that you could be paying attention to. And you're like, well, who's backing them? Why should I pay attention? Is this worth my time? Am I going to get an allow list somehow out of this? Or like, why should I pay attention to this? And it goes both ways because I want to have better insight for everyone in who's backing it authentically and it does well and highlighting those people, and who's backing stuff that ends up being a rug pull that like, hey, like maybe we shouldn't have like listened to this person that was backing a project that didn't turn out well, right? Um, so I think we can help a lot there, and that's a pretty easy light lift for us. So that's another thing that we're kind of thinking about right now.
I love that you guys are using what you believe in already and then kind of building on the data collection phase is something people don't talk about a lot, but
Hmm.
super bullish on that because I'm excited. I'm keeping tabs and this whole conversation has been pretty amazing, pretty insightful as
Good.
well. And yeah, I hope more people can learn about what you guys are doing and that you guys are doing a great job with being on spaces, being active, and obviously a lot of people are chatting about ethos on my timeline, so that's
Yeah,
always a good sign. Um,
totally.
yeah, I mean, did you have anything else to say? I think this was really, really fire of, like, this whole, like, podcast that we had today.
Yeah, no, this has been great. I mean, I would say just we are builders at the end of the day. We love building things, and stay tuned because we definitely believe in a very product led marketing philosophy. So you'll see us shipping stuff with the intent of that being our marketing mechanism. And here's a new thing to go play around with, or here's a new thing to go learn from. And so if you like that part, which is not normally how Web3 works, usually Web3 is like, we're going to hype this thing up for years, and then you're going to build stuff on top of it. But definitely stay tuned because there's lots of fun stuff coming. And we are professional builders who know how to build products. So I'm
I
excited
love
about it.
that. I love the building phase. I love everything you guys are doing at Ethos, and can't wait to chime in more on spaces. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to join the Onchain Hero podcast. And there will be more episodes if you guys are listening to this. We'll do more categories as we kind of mentioned before: thought leaders, builders, I guess creators too. Actually, kind of what we're tapping into now. And I hope you have a great Friday. I know it's a long weekend, so hopefully you enjoyed the sunshine there in Texas.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for having me. And hopefully you do too.
Yeah, awesome. Take care and have a great day.
Thanks.